You are listening to Heart Alignment, a podcast exploring nervous system healing, intimacy, emotional truth, and what it means to come back to yourself. Hello, my loved ones. So good to be here with you. How about we take a couple really deep breaths together? Dropping into the space. Releasing anything that does not need to be here today. Very good. Well, I hope you feel good. I hope you are enjoying your day so far. If not, if it's been a rough one, I hope that I can help you reset, help you ground, help you feel more connected to your heart through this little podcast called Heart Alignment. Also, I wanted to add that this podcast title is brand new. The podcast itself is from 2021. So always feel free to go back to explore interviews, meditations. There's really a rich foundation of this podcast. And it was called the Borealis Experience. So on those episodes, I have a different introduction than on these episodes. But I thought that's not going to be a bother. Today, we're going to talk about purging, raging, and resetting, grounding. I feel strongly called to talk about this today because I just came back from a wonderful, let's call it women's circle. It was not intentionally set out to be a women's circle, but it ended up being a women's circle, which I totally loved. And in that women's circle, we started talking about rage and purging at the end. And I want to share with my dear listeners here about the importance of purging and releasing and really noticing how in today's society it is really, really, really not encouraged to show emotion. You can show a little bit of frustration, and it's fun when you swear. And you can cry a little bit because we can show compassion then and, show up with our empathy. But not too much, not for too long, not too much grieving, please. And then joy. Joy is okay. Joy is socially acceptable. Shame, not so much. Regret, a little bit. Anger, anger is a tricky one. When it comes to anger, I want to say it's not socially acceptable. It's such a big part of life, though. So what do we do as very intelligent social beings who desperately want to belong to a community? We adapt and we suppress. I know, though, because I am a human being, that we are designed to have feelings. We have feelings all day long. We experience through feelings. We connect through feelings. We live our life because we have feelings. I think feelings is where everything started, to be honest. And if you think about suppressing feelings, emotions, just like I touched on a little bit last time, when it comes to life force, when it comes to sexuality, everything that we try to repress is going to come out in a weird, maybe even creepy, maybe full-on antisocial, violent way. And that's not what we should be striving for, I think you said in English. You say in English, right? That's not something to aspire for. So what can we do to feel our emotions? Well, first we need to fully accept them and build capacity. I talked about grief capacity for a little bit in one of the episodes here recently, because I learned to work on my grief capacity here in my recent life episode. And so to build capacity to feel these feelings, I think, is where it all starts. And to understand that as children, youngsters, teenagers, young adults, now full-on adults, we are not encouraged to feel our feelings fully. So this means that at first we have to acknowledge our feelings, build that capacity to feel those feelings. And then also, because we are herd animals, we need a little community, if not just one friend around us, is to find safe spaces to experience, express, feel these feelings. I'm just taking a pause here because there's another topic that just crossed my mind that I know I want to make a huge podcast episode about. Is I strongly believe that we heal profoundly best in community when we are being witnessed. And I feel this is also why we need to find safe spaces where we can express these feelings and maybe even full on purge them. Because maybe you are able to go for a walk and cry your heart out, or go into the forest and scream, or scream into your pillow. That's very helpful too. The thing is, though, when you find people that you can authentically share your feelings with and feel unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, maybe even unconditional forgiveness, it touches your nervous system, your soul, your entire being in a very profound and deep way. And so if you don't have anybody out there, please do not despair, because there's still the pillow, there's still the screaming in your car. And maybe you want to make it more of a priority in the future to connect or find people that are in tune with their emotions already, or that are also curious for a journey like this. I think that's very important. I host these full moon parties here every month and other events throughout the month where I invite this at the beginning of the session for people to release, to purge, to know that they are safe in this space, in this circle. There's no judgment, there's no expectations. You can also be a little mouse and just observe, but we're holding space for each other to purge. And after that, we ground, which is super crucial. When you have, a rage circle going on, you can't just have people activate and then leave again. It's very important to feel grounded, calm, and collected afterwards. Not for the sake of being calm, collected, and having your shit together, but for your own well-being, to come back to center. And sometimes we need to rage, purge things out of our way first before we can tap into our true self again, because maybe it's been too long that we've been holding things. And so I learned this, hosting my little retreats here and events, that yes, the intention can be full moon, we release, we want to ground, we want to be calm and introspective. But if there is rage right underneath the surface, and frustration or grief, then we need to acknowledge these feelings first. And sometimes people simply want to share words, and sometimes people want to scream, stomp, and I pick a song on Spotify, I was going to say, and we dance and rage to it together, and it's extremely powerful. Very, very important to stay sane in the membrane, to stay sane in the brain. Yeah, I would love to share, a little bit about my personal journey when it comes to raging and purging and releasing on a somatic level. Some of you, not all of you, know that I lost our baby last November 2025. And it was a very painful experience. I'm not going to go much more into depth. You can always ask me in person if you hear this episode and you want to hear more about it. The thing is, though, because this pregnancy did not go into full cycle, so I did lose the baby before the full term was over. After losing the baby, my body needed a somatic release. My nervous system, my entire being was gearing towards giving birth. It was taken away from me, and now I could still feel my anguish, of course, but also this feeling like, oh no, I need to contract, like I need to feel my entire body and I need to scream. And I sat with it for a little while, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to squeeze my pillow. I'm going to scream into my pillow. Maybe I'm going to start, walking a little bit faster because I'm not allowed to run, but I'm going to walk a little bit faster to feel my body really. And it all didn't help. And then I had the idea to ask Alex, my fiance, one afternoon, to pin me down onto the ground and to allow me to scream and to allow me to squirm. And I don't know how you say that in English, but, for him to pin me down and for me to try to untangle myself, but he wouldn't allow this. So I could really feel my entire body contracting, fighting, and I was screaming like, I want to hold my baby. I want to hold my baby. I want to feel my baby on my chest. It was a very intense moment. And because I told Alex what this was good for, I needed that release. I need to get this energy moving through me. Please don't be scared. Please pin me down. Please don't allow me to run away or squirm myself out of this situation. Pin me down. And with his entire body weight, he pinned me down. And it was so good for me to having that release, to allow myself to scream these words out loud and to feel the strength of my body. It was so, so crucial. And it was also very important for our relationship, needless to say. Like, it was probably very scary for Alex. I should actually ask him again. I did ask him, but I forgot what it exactly was for him. But for me to know he can hold me, he doesn't get scared of my emotions. He doesn't run away. He doesn't try to fix anything. He doesn't try to temper me down, turn the volume down. He just allows me to scream. Was so, so incredibly powerful. And if you are inspired by this in any way and you have people living around you, please be so cautious that, everybody who could hear you guys is informed that there's nothing bad happening and it's all consentful, because we don't want anything, anybody panicking for your health. And you can talk to your partner about this and make sure everything is, consentful from both sides. I'm sure there's men out there who might not want to do this, who are scared and who don't want to hurt you. But there is ways to talk about this, but make sure that, people are safe and people don't worry for you. I'm going to leave it at that. I know we're all adults here and you do whatever is best for you, but that was my experience of purging, raging, and then allowing Alex to lay on top of my body and allowing myself to cry and allowing his body weight to fully ground me into the ground, like into the surface, yoga mat, whatever it was, and to breathe together, to be in this together. And then to close by thanking each other. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing me what's inside of you. Thank you, Alex, for holding that space for me, for not being scared, for not trying to fix. And from that point on, it was so beautiful, the softness, the kindness, the love that I could feel again was rushing right back through my entire body. It was there all along, but it was hiding underneath that thick layer of grief and anguish, pain, and that tremendous tragic loss. So all this to say, it's important to acknowledge your feelings. It's important to know that we can't just run around and rage. I mean, some people do that, but it usually backfires. But to write it out, to use art, to use music, to use your voice, anything really that feels authentic to you, to acknowledge those feelings and to channel them out, to not bottle them up, and to understand that all emotions are valid. And the emotions that get really awkward and weird, those are the emotions that have been hiding in your basement, caged up without water and food for a little while. And they just need acknowledgement and a little bit of sunlight. Let me see if this feels complete. I know this was a very intense one. Let's take a couple breaths. And I'm going to make sure that I had a trigger warning labeled this, episode in a way that, you are warned. Acceptance, clarity of your emotions, feeling your humanness, feeling your tribe around you that can hold you. And one last thing I want to add, and I know I mentioned it by sharing that I did share this with Alex, but sharing what it is that you need. I need to be pinned down. I need XYZ. Whatever comes to mind that is safe, not harming yourself or others, is perfectly fine. It can be awkward, it can be uncomfortable to ask for. If you know that it is going to help you purge, release, to then reset and ground, all the power to you. I'm going to leave you with that, with so much love. You know where you can find me. You know that there will always be a safe space wherever you find me, in the community, on a call, in the yurt here in the forest. And I just have so much respect for your journey. You're doing wonderfully. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you are meant to be on this path. You are needed. You are loved. And I care so much for you. Take really good care. Until next time, bye-bye. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this episode spoke to something real inside of you, you can follow the podcast, share it with someone you love, or explore more at auroraegertcoaching.com. Take a deep breath. I'll see you in the next episode.